The maintenance hangar at Nellis Air Force Base sits quiet in the pre-dawn darkness. Metal tools clink against concrete. A single work light casts long shadows across the polished floor. No one notices the woman in grease-stained coveralls, dark hair pulled back in a practical bun, hands buried in the engine compartment of an F-22 Raptor. They never do. Her name is Lieutenant Sloane Winters. To most of the 477th Fighter Wing, she's just another ground crew member. Someone who fixes things. Someone who stays on the ground while the real pilots, the men with the right swagger, the right connections, carve their names into the sky. They don't know what she does in the empty hours before sunrise. They don't know about the flight simulator tucked away in the back of Building 7, or the logbook hidden in her locker with 3,000 hours logged. They don't know her father was Major General Thomas Winters, one of the finest fighter pilots the Air Force ever produced, who died in a training accident when she was 19. They don't know she learned to fly before she could drive. The hangar doors rattle. Sloane doesn't look up. She's tracing hydraulic lines with fingers that know every inch of these aircraft, checking tolerances that the diagnostic computers miss. Perfectionist work. Invisible work. Winters, you done with that pre-flight? Lieutenant Garrett waves from the office door, coffee in hand. He's younger than her by 2 years, but outranks her by attitude and assumption. We've got actual pilots coming in at OCS 100. Almost finished, she says. Calm, professional, giving him nothing to criticize. He disappears back into the climate-controlled office. Through the window, she can see him laughing with 2 other pilots, probably telling the same story about the time he pulled 7 GS in a training exercise. She's heard it 14 times. Sloane turns back to the Raptor, runs her hand along the leading edge of the wing. This aircraft, tail number 4049, has a slight port-side drag that the other mechanics can't diagnose. She found it 3 weeks ago. Fixed it without telling anyone. These birds are temperamental, brilliant, lethal machines that demand respect. She gives them what they deserve. The eastern sky begins to lighten. Sloane finishes her checks, signs off on the maintenance log, and heads toward the break room. She's pulling a double shift. 12 hours of maintenance followed by an evening training session in the simulator. Her own time. Her own fuel. Her own silent preparation for an opportunity that may never come. The break room smells like burnt coffee and yesterday's pizza. Captain Vincent Driscoll sits at the corner table, silver-haired and quiet. He's different from the others, a veteran pilot who flew combat missions in 3 different conflicts, who watches more than he speaks. He nods at Sloane as she pours coffee into a chipped mug. Good work on 4049, he says softly. Flies clean now. She pauses, looks at him. You noticed. I notice a lot of things. He stands, picks up his flight helmet. Your father would be proud of what you can do with these machines. The words hit like turbulence. She hasn't heard anyone mention her father in 2 years. Most people don't know. Most people don't care. Thank you, sir. He leaves. The door closes. Sloane stands alone with her coffee and the weight of inherited legacy that no one else can see. The alarm screams at 1400 hours. Sloane is shoulder deep in landing gear maintenance when the sirens split the afternoon calm. Red lights pulse across every surface. The bay's-wide alert system crackles to life with 3 words that make her blood freeze. Code black. Code black. Pilot down. Hostile territory. Everyone moves. Pilots sprint toward ready aircraft. Ground crews scatter to firing positions. Sloane pulls herself from under the landing gear assembly, grease on her hands, heart hammering against her ribs. The command center doors burst open. Colonel James Hammond strides out, face carved from granite. Behind him, Captain Tom Briggs and Major Sandra Pierce are already in flight suits, moving toward 2 F-22s on the flight line. What happened? Garrett demands. Major Julian Vasquez went down 30 miles inside the Nevada test range. Hammond snaps. He was running an evaluation flight on the new weapons package. Something went wrong. Aircraft is disabled. He's alive, but surrounded by unexploded ordnance from 60 years of bombing runs. We've got maybe 90 minutes before exposure gets him. Send a helicopter, someone says. Can't. Terrain is too unstable. Too many live munitions. We need precision extraction. Land. Grab him. Get out. But every experienced pilot is already airborne on the northern exercise. Hammond's jaw works. We're scrambling Briggs and Pierce. But they're both rookies on extraction protocols. Sloane steps forward. Sir, not now, Winters. Hammond doesn't even look at her. We need pilots, not mechanics. Sir, I can fly. The words come out steady, certain. The command center goes quiet. Garrett actually laughs. Your ground crew, Briggs says, already halfway into his harness. This isn't a video game. I have over 3,000 hours in simulators. I've logged flight time in simulator hours. Hammond cuts her off. Do you have any idea what you're suggesting? This is a combat extraction from hostile terrain. This requires someone who knows these aircraft better than anyone else on this base. Captain Driscoll's voice carries across the tarmac. He's walking toward them, flight helmet under his arm, eyes locked on Hammond. Someone who's been flying in secret since before most of your pilots earned their wings. Someone whose father taught her everything he knew before he died. Hammond stares at Driscoll. You can't be serious. I've watched her in the simulator. She's better than half your active pilots. Driscoll turns to Sloane. How many hours in the Raptor simulator specifically? 1,800, Sloane says, including emergency protocols, combat maneuvers, and precision landing under stress conditions. She's ground crew, Briggs repeats. She's qualified, Driscoll counters. And she knows every system in that aircraft better than any pilot here. If something goes wrong mechanically, she can fix it mid-flight. Hammond looks at Sloane, really looks at her for the first time, sees something he didn't expect. You understand what you're volunteering for? This is real. If you screw up, Vasquez dies. If you screw up, you die. I understand, sir. 90 seconds later, Sloane is in a flight suit that's too big, helmet that's too loose, strapping into an F-22 that responds to her touch like an old friend. Her hands move across the controls without hesitation. Pre-flight checks flow like muscle memory. You sure about this, Winters? Driscoll's voice crackles through her headset. He's standing on the tarmac watching. Yes, sir. Then show them what you are. The Raptor's engines ignite. The world narrows to instruments, horizon, and the mission ahead. Tower clears her for immediate departure. Sloane releases the brakes. The aircraft leaps forward. Gay forces press her into the seat. The runway disappears beneath her. Nellis falls away. The Nevada desert opens up, vast and merciless, and exactly where she belongs. Viper 7, this is command. Vasquez's last known coordinates are being transmitted now. You have 72 minutes before heat exposure becomes critical. Copy, command. Proceeding to target. The F-22 cuts through air at 500 knots. Sloane's hands are steady on the controls. The aircraft responds to micro-adjustments, reading her intentions through pressure and angle. She's flown this bird 1,000 times in simulation. Now it's real. The weight is different. The stakes are absolute. Her father's voice echoes from memory. Asterisk, stay calm. Trust your instruments. Trust yourself. Asterisk. The test range appears ahead. Kilometers of scorched earth. Impact craters. Rusted ordnance half buried in sand. This is where the military tested everything from conventional bombs to experimental weapons for 6 decades. It's a graveyard of explosive force. Viper 7, be advised. The area is littered with unexploded munitions. Some date back to the 1960s. Any impact could trigger detonation. Understood. Sloane banks left, dropping altitude. Her eyes scan the terrain through the canopy and the sensor displays. There, a dark shape against pale sand. Vasquez's F-22 nose down, one wing crumpled. And there, 200 meters away, a figure in a flight suit, waving. I have visual on Major Vasquez. Copy. The nearest safe landing zone is 3 kilometers north. Standard protocol is... Sloane cuts the transmission short. She's studying the terrain. There's a flat stretch approximately 400 meters from Vasquez's position. It's surrounded by dark patches that could be old bomb craters, or could be worse. Standard protocol says land safe and make him walk. Standard protocol assumes the downed pilot is mobile, healthy, thinking clearly. Sloane sees how Vasquez is moving. The slight drag in his left leg. The way he's favoring his right side. He won't make 3 kilometers. She makes her decision. Command, I'm landing at these coordinates. She transmits the location. Static. Then Hammond's voice, sharp. Negative, Viper 7. That area is not cleared. Land at the designated safe zone. Major Vasquez is injured. He cannot travel. I'm bringing the aircraft to him. That is a direct order, Lieutenant. Divert to... Sloane switches off the comm channel. Her hands move across the controls. She brings the Raptor around in a tight turn, bleeding speed, configuring for landing in a space barely large enough for a helicopter. The ground rushes up. Her father's training fills every synapse. Asterisk, watch your angle of attack. Feel the wind. Trust what the aircraft tells you. Asterisk, she drops the landing gear. The Raptor shudders. Wind gusts from the northeast. 12 knots. Variable. She compensates. 50 feet. 40. 30. The wheels kiss dirt. She reverses thrust, feeling the aircraft slow, watching the distance to a suspicious dark patch ahead. 20 meters. 15. The Raptor stops. Silence inside the cockpit. Her heart hammers. She's down. Sloane pops the canopy. Desert heat slams into her. She unbuckles, climbs out onto the wing. Vasquez is limping toward her, face pale under dust and sun exposure. "Who the hell are you?" he gasps. "Your ride home." She helps him up onto the wing. His left ankle is swollen. Possible fracture. She gets him into the rear seat. F-22s aren't designed for passengers, but there's an emergency configuration. She straps him in tight. They sent a mechanic? Vasquez is either delirious or furious. They sent who was available. Sloane drops back into the pilot's seat. Buckles in. Restarts pre-flight. That's when she sees it. A thin trail of fluid under the aircraft. Hydraulic leak, probably damaged on landing. The rough terrain found a weak seal. She has maybe 1 flight's worth of hydraulic pressure. Maybe. Viper 7. Respond immediately. Hammond's voice is ice when she reopens the channel. I have Major Vasquez. Requesting clearance for immediate departure. You disobeyed a direct... Sir, with respect, we can discuss discipline after I get him home. I've got a hydraulic leak and limited time. Silence. Then, cleared for immediate departure. Straight approach to Nellis. Emergency crews standing by. Sloane throttles up. The Raptor rolls forward, gaining speed. The makeshift runway is short. Very short. She needs every meter. 50 knots. 70. 100. Dark patch ahead. Could be nothing. Could be 1,000 pounds of degraded explosive. She pulls back. The Raptor lifts. Climbs. The dark patch disappears below. We're up, she says, to Vasquez. To herself. To her father's memory. The flight back takes 18 minutes. Every second she's monitoring hydraulic pressure. Watching it drop. The controls are getting mushy. Response time increasing. How bad? Vasquez asks. He's a major. He knows aircraft. We'll make it. That's not what I asked. We'll make it, she repeats. Firmer. Nellis appears on the horizon. She radios approach. Tower, Viper 7 on emergency approach. Hydraulic failure. Request direct landing. Cleared for runway 21. Emergency crews in position. Sloane lines up. The Raptor is fighting her now. Controls lazy. Responses delayed. She compensates with throttle and angle, flying the aircraft manually through inputs that would have been automatic 10 minutes ago. The runway stretches ahead. She drops gear. The hydraulics groan. The gear locks. Barely. Flaps. She coaxes them down. The Raptor slows. She's over the numbers, descending. 50 feet. 30. The wheels touch. Perfect center line. She reverses thrust. The aircraft slows. Stops. Fire trucks and ambulances surround them before the engines finish spooling down. Medics pull Vasquez out. He's talking, gesturing, pointing at Sloane. She climbs down. Her legs are shaking. Adrenaline crash hitting hard. Hammond is there. Driscoll. Half the command staff. Garrett stands at the back, mouth open. Lieutenant Winters, Hammond says. His voice is unreadable. Sir, you disobeyed a direct order. Yes, sir. You risked a $30 million aircraft. Yes, sir. You landed in an unsecured zone full of explosives. The Major needed immediate extraction, sir. He couldn't have made it to the safe zone. Hammond stares at her. Everyone is watching. Waiting. You're right, he says finally. Vasquez's medical eval confirms a fractured ankle and early heat exhaustion. He wouldn't have survived the walk. Hammond pauses. That was some of the finest flying I've witnessed in 20 years. Where the hell did you learn to handle a Raptor like that? My father, sir. And 3,000 hours of practice everyone told me didn't matter. Hammond extends his hand. It matters, Lieutenant. It damn well matters. She shakes his hand. Behind him, Captain Driscoll is smiling. The next morning, Sloane reports for duty expecting punishment, discharge, or worse. Instead, she finds new orders on her desk. Transfer to active flight status. Assignment to the 477th Fighter Wing as a full pilot. And a handwritten note from Colonel Hammond. Asterisk, we need pilots who can fly, not just people who look like pilots. Asterisk. She's in the pilot's briefing room when Garrett walks in. He stops. Stares at her sitting in a chair that was never meant for her. He starts. Stops. Tries again. I was wrong about you. Yes, Sloane says. You were. He nods. Leaves. It's not much, but it's something. Vasquez finds her in the hangar that afternoon. He's on crutches. Ankle in a cast. I owe you my life, he says simply. You don't owe me anything, sir. I owe you the truth then. I've been flying for 15 years. I've trained with some of the best pilots in the world. What you did yesterday, landing in that terrain, flying with degraded hydraulics, I couldn't have done it better. He shifts his weight. You belong in the sky, Lieutenant. Everyone knows it now. That evening, Sloane stands on the flight line as the sun sets. An F-22 taxis past, heading for evening patrol. The pilot, a woman named Technical Sergeant Yates from ground crew, newly approved for flight training, waves from the cockpit. Change, Sloane thinks. Slow, hard won, real. She thinks about her father, about all those hours in the simulator, practicing for a moment she wasn't sure would ever come, about being dismissed and overlooked and underestimated for so long it became normal. And she thinks about the feeling of that Raptor responding to her hands, the desert falling away beneath her, the absolute certainty that she was exactly where she needed to be. They thought she was just a mechanic, someone who fixed things for the real pilots. They were wrong. Sloane Winters is a pilot. She always was. Now everyone else knows it too. If you have enjoyed the story, tell YouTube to send you more stories like this by subscribing to this channel, liking the video, and leaving a comment.